And we are live.
The cast is back. Zoomcast 3. Zoomcast 3.
What up, bros?
All I want to do is zoom, and take your money.
Well, now's your opportunity.
What up?
What up, though? But if you're going to take my money, though, if you're going to jack me, it's going to have to be like some kind of cyber crime. Because we're separated right now.
Dude, you know what I've been doing? I've been going through all of my basketball card collections, like every player, and I've just been going through like all these loose card shoe boxes full of cards and just crappy player, decent player, gem. Crappy player, decent player, gem. And it's like hard to figure out which is like the decent player to like the good player to like the superstar around those times, like the 80s and shit.
Malone, what's your all? This is going to be a question for both of you. What's your all-time favorite year of basketball card?
Basketball card.
Yeah. Well, you're saying you're going through your basketball cards. I'm like, all right. Well, what's the year?
So like the 98 and 97 is like the year. It's like a year that I've seen a lot of.
I'm trying to remember. Okay, so 97. So does 97 have all the 96 draft rookies in it?
Yeah, it would.
Like, well,
dude, they even go back to where like there's cards of guys playing in high school. Like I was saying to you.
Oh earlier, yeah, okay. This is crazy. Go ahead.
There's a Kobe card that I've been looking for and I haven't found it yet, but it's literally selling on eBay for like 50 grand. And I doubt that you're going to get 50 grand for it unless you get it, certified by one of those guys that checks the cards, word for word and everything. But
right.
they're going, and I feel like you'll get one guy that'll just, I got to have this. I'm going to buy it, and boom, $50 or 50 grand, 50 stacks. That would be insane.
I would say like Shaq's rookie year, maybe, like around when Greg, to answer your question, like I'd say like I was at my peak of you're asking basketball cards.
Yeah. No, just Dirt had me thinking about it, so I was trying to. I would say
like Shaq's rookie year was probably when I peaked at buying basketball cards. Like I don't think I bought any basketball cards until I was like 11, 12, 13. It was strictly baseball cards.
Right. Yep.
And crappy cards, man. I had I didn't know shit about cards. I barely knew anything about baseball. But anything that was like a quarter at the goddamn checkout,
yep.
Like that's all I knew of cards, and that's what I was buying. So like my best card by the time I was 10 or 11 was like a Benito Santiago rookie card, like in the store, and it was worth $1. And I remember going through all my cards, like I used to get the book. Was it Beckett?
Sure, Bill.
Yeah,
of course,
Beckett.
Yeah.
You used to have to go and get the.
Yo, do you guys remember Tough Stuff?
Oh hell yeah!
That was fucking fire.
Awesome. Yeah, you used to have to go and get the book and get like Beckett and look through. You have your card and you go to the back and it's got like an index and it's like 92's clear and you flip to that page and it's in alphabetical order and you go through it. And I remember going through it with like every card I owned when I was like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And the only card I had that was worth more than 50 cents was a Benito Santiago.
Benito Santiago.
Yeah. Well, dude, Sco, like this. We used to go through the Beckett too. Like this was a Kobe card for $15 at the time.
Right.
But just like you, like after, I don't know, 6th grade or whatever it was, that was it. Like the card collecting stopped and it,
Well, yeah, I went to like basketball for a while because like I started to even like know anything about basketball. I think I knew more about. It's a weird thing. Like every kid used to buy baseball cards.
Right.
Like you didn't have to be a fan of baseball.
Right. To be a fan of baseball cards. Right.
You didn't have to play baseball or watch baseball or buying the cards was like you had to have an uncle who bought you like 3 packs of cards and you'd spend an hour going through them, like knowing nothing. It was just cool. and you compare it to like, then you're looking for the guy from the card in the sports page to look at the box scores.
Yeah,
You didn't even know what that guy necessarily, I mean, I'm old, obviously, but you didn't even necessarily watch that guy playing and know everything, like they were two-dimensional back then. For me,
I mean, my pops was like, from the time I got into cards when I was a kid, my pops like was always into them. So like, even like when I was like in my teens and, early 20s, he'd get excited about a card or talking about cards or looking at cards and shit. So like, that was like always a thing. But yeah, it started for me with baseball cards. But what's funny is that it started with me with baseball cards, but I think like the earliest cards I had were football cards. Like I had like 84 Topps football cards.
right.
And then I had some baseball cards then. And then I got into it, like, I want to say I seriously got into it in like that, like a little bit 85, 86. And then I got into it in like 87. And then I was like hard in the paint into cards for 5-6 years, probably until high school. But then it was always like a cool peripheral thing.
Yeah.
But so saying Shaq's rookie year, I remember that well.
Like for me, Shaq was like the first guy who was like my guy, it felt like.
Yeah, of course.
And I mean that in like a generational sense.
Yeah.
But Jordan was the start of that. I remember speaking of like
you were very young when Jordan was Shaq's age. You were
right, like Shaq. I didn't play basketball when Jordan was a rookie.
Right.
I didn't know anything about it. But I will say that by the time I probably had picked up a basketball around like 89, 90-ish.
Right.
5th grade-ish. The first time I ever dribbled basketball, probably. And now, so I remember vividly rooting for Jordan the first time against Magic.
Right.
And Jordan felt like, Magic and Bird are like, they're like old people love that.
Right.
Like, no, Jordan is us. And so, like, that was it, very rooting for Jordan and everything. But Shaq was like the first guy who was like, he's only a couple of years older than me, kind of.
Sure.
Like, even though he's like 9 years older or 10 years older, it still didn't seem like that far away.
Right. No, he represented youth culture.
Yeah. I feel like the Fab Five into Shaq, that era. Yes. There you go.
That's LA Lakers Shaq Diesel. Mark Bernardi's talking about Louisiana State University. Orlando Magic.
I mean, Orlando Shaq, was breaking the backboards. Oh, sorry.
Well,
I am. This thing, I feel like Zoom is going to make me upgrade to Pro.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to pause this if it gets because there's a countdown right now.
And then we're all gonna. I know. And then we're all gonna be pros. All right. Well, hold on. I'm gonna grab something. If we're doing show and tell, then I'm gonna grab something too.
All right, grab some stuff. Because I'm gonna,
go ahead, Dirk, but make sure, Dirk, you save all this ish.
Yeah, I'm gonna pause it. All right. So, Sko, listen to these names and these deck of cards. And tell me if they belong or don't belong, and decent players, good players. Ready?
All right, I'll give it a 1 of 3 ratings.
Rodman.
Stud.
Mitch Richmond.
Stud.
Iverson.
Stud.
Magic.
Is this the stud pile? Just keep going until it's not. They're all Hall of Famers.
All right, Sharif Abdul-Rahim, Stockton, Robinson, Olajuwon. Ewing.
Abdul-Rahim does not belong in the pile so far.
Ray Allen, Damon Stoudemire.
I put him in the middle tier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marbury, Antoine Walker.
Middle tier.
Latrell Sprewell.
I'd have to put him in the top group.
All right.
If we're only having 3 groups, 3 tiers, he's not necessarily a Hall of Famer, but he made I think he made a couple of second team All NBA teams. Let me look him up. It's a good.
You know what else is fun to do when you get the cards in hand? You flip them around and you just kind of gaze at the stats and you're like, holy shit. Like he scored like 1,600, 1,700 points that season. Like what?
No,
So check this out. So
He had 1,900 points in 96, 97.
So here's why I say he's in the. If we're doing scrubs, solid players, and great players, those are the three categories. Then Sprewell's definitely in the great player. So check out Sprewell, 4-time All-Star. Okay, he made All NBA first team one year. So he was like one of the top 5 players in the NBA that year. He made an All NBA He made the All Defense second team. He scored 18 a game for his career. He carried a team to the finals. I'd say he's got to be in that top group.
Yo, he choked my cousin, son. Fuck that
dude. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But I always go back to it and I say I know exactly why, right? Because the truth is this: PJ was old school.
Yeah.
And he was the best player on Golden State. And Sprewell was kind of new school. And I bet you PJ rode his fucking ass every day when they played like shit.
Yeah.
And he was just a personality who couldn't fucking deal with that, and he snapped. And he didn't want to lose either. And they were, you know, pretty much probably at each other's throats every day in practice, and he literally went at him. All right, so Derek Malone, just to show you how I stay in touch with my fucking roots, I just went and rooted around in the desk in the room that I'm in currently, and I got cards to show you.
The ancient relics?
I want you to just know that I keep it fucking real, that's all. And here's my proof that I got up in my office, and I scrambled to my desk, and I threw fucking papers and odds and ends about, and I rummaged, and I pulled out some fucking jewels, not necessarily jewels of immense financial value, but nonetheless fire.
Like it.
Okay, so all right, the first is just kind of random, but I think Sko especially will dig this. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 6 different Fleer Ricky Henderson cards from the 80s.
Whoa.
Check these out.
Did you steal them?
Look, 81 Ricky Henderson.
Nice.
Hold up. Let me see. Hold up. That's 83 Ricky Henderson.
Nice.
84. 85. And then this might be like, no, I guess this is 81. This is 82, and that's 81. Fucking Ricky Henderson's. Look at that.
Almost old athletics garment is amazing.
Oh, so fucking fire, right? Absolutely. That's one of like the reasons I love those cards are amazing. Then I found this, which to me is not a great rendering of my childhood hero, but I remember this card well. It's the 87 Donruss Diamond King of Darryl.
That series,
yeah,
in general, was big.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And to get the puzzle pieces,
yeah,
like fit together to make like one of like the big Diamond King, like you could like it.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Yep. There was like a Roberto Clemente Diamond King at one point, I think.
It's actually like somebody, I think there was like a Mel Rojas one.
Somebody lame.
Yeah. Like
well, there was one of these for every team. So some of the teams that were like short on stars, or if they did the big star the year prior or whatever. But this is a cool year because like I guess Bonds, it's his second year, but like Bo Jackson's rookie is in here, and like there's a bunch of cool guys. Yeah, McGuire.
Yep.
87 McGuire.
Dude, you know what's funny? You know what's funny about that card is playing Little League. There was a guy that he would like take your portrait, and then he would paint you, and then he would paint an action shot of you that he would grab.
Nice.
Just like that exact orientation for like $200.
And it feels so 80s.
So it's too much money, but I remember him doing those.
All right, and then when I was saying about my favorite year for basketball cards, this is my favorite year for basketball cards. And
I'm gonna say 92, 93.
No, it's even before that. It's even before that. I was a fucking young lad, but check these out. That's Bird.
Ooh, cool. Well, that's a $20 bill, son.
Yeah, it's Bird. Look, and Barkley, 87 Fleer.
Buff Barkley right there, dude, on the
Yeah.
Sixers. Holy
The
shit.
fucking round mound of rebound. Yeah, and I mean, I know I got like more of these fucking things, but God knows where they are. That's the thing. Like, they're in random boxes. Like, I wish the archives, as I joke about them, were like this neatly fucking curated collection of stuff. But it's like, yeah, it just shit's like buried everywhere. Like for the gym here, I had like there's this like part of the fucking ceiling that hangs down, and I was like, yo, it's perfect to put pennants, like old school pennants, right? And I'm like, and I got some fucking dope ones, right? And I know I have like a late 80s Bulls one that has the Bull's head, but then his whole body is sort of like this muscular bull, and it says Chicago on it. And it's like not early Jordan, but like late 80s Jordan. And I'm like, yo, that's fucking fire. Look, there Malone is creating fucking a delicious beverage right now. I need one. And I thought to myself, oh, dude, amazing. I'll fucking outfit that whole fucking thing with pennants. It'll look amazing. I found 2 fucking pennants. I have no idea where the Bulls one is. I'm like, God damn it. Like, in my head, I know it exists somewhere, but it's like, I feel like you move once and you lose like 10% of your stuff. And then every time you move after that, there's like the percentage grows of the dope shit you lose. And even if you didn't lose it, it's just buried somewhere. So dude, I'm like,
so much stuff. Dude, I moved into tiny New York City apartments 2 times, and it's like I had to make certain decisions.
Oh, like, sure.
Like, I got rid of every CD case I ever had.
Right, sure.
I kept CDs in a booklet, but I had so many CDs.
Yeah, sure.
I had to get rid of the case. So I had like every Woo CD and Woo affiliate CD and like all that stuff. At one point, just a stack of awesome, sweet things. And now I don't even know where the CDs are now. I can't even find them. But I had them all in one like 2000 CD booklet. I can't even find that because I've moved so many different times. I don't know where shit ended up, where it is, you know.
Dude, let's do a GCode pennant, bro.
Yo, that's a fucking fire idea. I love it. I'm in.
Yo, let's do that.
I'm in.
What are they made out of? Like felt? Like it's like a
felt.
Yeah, right?
Felt, yeah.
I'm gonna write that
could be
down.
amazing.
Think loud.
Yo, that's money. See how it happens?
Idea. That's how the magic happens. Yep.
The race for pennant. Get your free GCode pennant.
Yep.
So speaking of sports,
I love it.
Stuff, The Last Dance ended last night. The final episode. And I got to admit, it was really what I had circled, what I was waiting for from the announcement that it would be on was like episode 9 last night. I'm sure I'm one of like 500 people in America. It was exciting. But for me, like the Jordan Bulls versus Reggie Pacers series, where I went into it thinking that Jordan was invincible and the Pacers had no chance. And even though I loved them and Reggie's my favorite player and he had done superhuman things, doing them against Jordan and the Bulls seemed like, give me a break. You know, like there was a chance. But then Reggie pushes off and hits the shot. There he is.
Reggie Miller.
Getting more excited until there's 5 minutes left in Game 7 with the lead. Holy shit, it could actually happen. And then they just buried the Pacers in that. But like, even though, and I was thinking about this, like some of my favorite sports moments as just like a fan or whatever, and as a young man and as a kid and everything, involved my teams coming close and failing.
Oh, dude.
Like, I always tell people my favorite Yankee run was 2001 after 9/11.
Right.
Even though Mariano couldn't close the deal in Game 7 in the World Series, and they lost in the most gut-wrenching possible way, you know, like lose the 5 of the ninth Game 7, the miraculous comebacks and the blown saves against Arizona in the World Series, the playoff run itself, New York City, like coming back to life after the Towers, like it meant so much more that they just, and I think we'll get it, like if sports come back now, like it's not about the result that matters as much as just the reminder that like amazing things can still happen after something bad happens. You know, like that's what they did. And it means so much more than even like the 98 team, which was awesome. 16 down 2-0. Like, you know, even winning 3 in a row, 99, 2000. By then, those teams had like jerk off Clemens on them. I'm sorry, but like it seemed like they didn't even need him.
Right.
And they're signing him. The Yankee team in 2001 that didn't quite pull it off means more to me than the 4 teams that won it. And the same way, losing to the Bulls like that was like just getting that close when I didn't think they even would, you know?
Well, I mean, I think taking L's is one of the important parts of life. Like I often feel like guys who are like front runners and their team always wins, and it's like, I don't know. It just, and like if your team's growing up always won and all that kind of stuff, I just feel like you don't really know about life. I know that's a weird fucking statement, but like,
I agree. Like,
you gotta like endure that heartbreak and I don't know.
2000 Yankees
Find meaning in loss.
It didn't feel like this incredible thing was happening.
Right.
So, like 96, they hadn't won in like over 20 years. The Braves were the Braves. They were down 2-0. Like, that was a great underdog story.
Yeah.
Then they lose 97. 98, they come back. It was like this surprising cast of characters that didn't seem like Hall of Famers. El Duque and Brocious, and like they were one of the best teams ever.
Yeah.
But by 2000, it was like you're saying, it's like what I imagine being like a Lakers fan.
Right.
Like every 2 years they get a LeBron. Like,
right, sure.
And,
your whole life.
As a Yankee fan, like a lot of luster came off the Yankees.
Right.
Like the 2009 Yankees winning, like the A-Rod Yankees with Johnny Dick, all these ex-Red Sox, and everyone on the team's making $30 million. Like, there's no, I don't care who you are. If you're a Yankee fan and you love those teams more than like the 2001 team or even the 97 team, like, then you're just like you're saying, you're in it just to be associated with the winner and not because you're really rooting for the team.
For me personally, like you're talking about those Yankees, like they gutted my Mets team in like the most embarrassing, humiliating way in the early 90s. And then the Yankees had Mattingly, and then the Yankees started to pick up my Mets because Steinbrenner had a hardcore fascination with the great Mets. And those guys with the core guys from the Yankees who were so fucking good, Jeter and Bernie and Paul O'Neill and all those guys, they were so easy to root for. And I went in the course of like 6 years from thinking the Yankees were fucking awesome and loving watching them to really not liking them. and I didn't like that you know what I mean? Like I felt that transformation happen in real time where it was like, here's this team that I'm rooting for, and my Mets have broken my heart. I'm gonna root for the Yankees, and I have no problem with it because I love the history of the team, and this team's like sort of underdog. And then they became the opposite of that, and it was like it was hard. It was hard to root for them after some point.
Like Darryl on the Yankees is one of my favorite.
Yeah, for sure.
Sport, which like he was nowhere near his best.
Yeah. Of
but
course.
I got to see him in person all the time. And it's like, I'd go for batting practice just to watch Darryl and the game. He'd put on these shows. He still had it. And it was like weird. And the doc had the no-hitter. It's like weird to see them have that chapter.
They misused him. They had an embarrassment of riches with Darryl, and they misused him because he was a lefty, they only hit him against righties. And I'm like, dude, he was in the National League. For all this stellar years of his career, he's in the National League playing every day. And now he only plays when righties pitch, and it was like such a fucking – and I love Joe Torre. But that was so fucking stupid.
No, dude, I went to a game on my birthday where Darryl hit a home run his first at-bat, a double his second at-bat, a single his third at-bat, and they pitch hit for him.
Wow.
And now – I know Darryl Strawberry was not going to hit for a triple.
Right.
7 or whatever.
Right, of course.
But the fact that he was a triple short of the cycle and had that coming, and they hit for him.
Yeah.
It was
Because
like
of
tears. I was
yeah,
so
of course.
ridiculous.
Do you have one of those like sports heartbreak stories?
That's when like the management and the statistics things
Oh yeah,
started, I guess. That's kind of fucked up.
overdoing
But no,
it.
I mean, like, I just remember watching the Mets whenever they were on. I never really watched the Yankees because my pops never watched the Yankees because we only watched the Mets. So
Yeah.
I didn't really know about like the early '90s Yankees that much.
I got one for you. A Yankee, a Met turned Yankee, another Steinbrenner kind of deal. Robin Ventura went from
Right.
the awesome Mets team to come play.
Yeah. He did. Yeah. There were many of those.
Yeah.
There were many of those. Because he had a fascination with his fascination with the glory years Mets.
Didn't Olerud do that too, or no?
Who?
Was it Olerud turned from Mets to Yankees, or was that someone else?
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Olerud was so underrated on the Olerud was so underrated on the Mets. And the crazy thing that people don't know about Olerud is that Olerud coming out of college, they talked about him being, and I know it sounds nuts, but being like the modern Babe Ruth because he was a lights out pitcher and he was like such a natural hitter simultaneously. But he had a head injury. The reason he wore the batting helmet in the field is because he had a head injury or a brain aneurysm. Was it an aneurysm?
Yeah.
He had an aneurysm,
like,
right?
If he got hit with a line drive, like at all,
it could have killed him, right? Yeah. But I got the one that's most heartbreaking. I don't know if you remember this one. This isn't the most heartbreaking, but Dirk, do you remember the 2006 Mets with the crazy stacked team where Beltran struck out looking against St. Louis?
Dude, most of those there around that time, I was investing some time in doing some things that you probably shouldn't have done.
Understood. Okay. Well, Kendrick should have fucking sobered you up and made you watch then, because the fucking they had that stacked team with those guys, and one of my favorite Mets teams ever with Beltran and Cliff Floyd and all those guys, and they should have won the fucking World Series that year. I thought they had Johan Santana. They had such a fucking awesome team, and they couldn't keep it together, and they fucking lost in the playoffs to St. Louis. It was crazy, but I was locked in for that. But back to PJ, the biggest heartbreak for me that really sort of like was also one of the things that really set my world on fire with basketball was in '89.
Yep.
'89, Seton Hall went to the national championship game and lost in overtime to Michigan by 1 point on free throws by Ramil Robinson. So they like that would have been like one of the all-time fucking Cinderella stories. They were a good team, don't get me wrong, but they came out of the Big East and then they fucking went all the way to the national championship game and almost beat Michigan. Glenn Rice, Michigan, almost beat Michigan and lost in overtime. And that was '89. That was the craziest shit ever. So that was like one of the early fucking heartbreaks in sports. But like I said, I think it's better to have. There's Glenn Rice. Glenn Rice is he's an underrated. There's an underrated fucking dude.
He should be a Hall of Famer. Did he get in?
He's an underrated fucking dude, man. Like, you talk about a ball player, like a straight up killer ball player. But like I sit there and I think back to that and I think about how, like, if you have a team that wins all the fucking time, that's why I like being a Mets fan. Like, it builds character because you always take fucking L's. You take L's all the time. 15 years of L's. And it's funny too, because I became a Raiders fan. Like, the Raiders in the 70s and early 80s were like this storied fucking franchise. Like, scary, winning all these fucking trophies, just win, baby, and all that. And then I became their fan and they haven't won since. I became their fan in 80 fucking whatever year, and they haven't won fucking since. So it's like, you know, all my teams are just like, they just take L's. Sco's a fucking Dolphins fan. It's like, but it builds character. It builds character to have teams that take L's.
I got
Falcons. That was heartbreaking. That's a heartbreaking loss. Oh. Falcons Super Bowl is rough.
Yeah,
that's rough. That is rough. That's rough.
Hey, what about this guy? He was really good in college, and then he just kind of fell off, huh?
Who is that?
Leitner.
I mean, he wasn't just really good in college. As much as Greg and I, neither of us liked
Oh,
him.
we loathed him.
Good in college. He's one of the all-time best college basketball players
Oh,
ever.
he was a cold-blooded fucking killer.
Yeah.
And when you're a kid, this is one of those things that I would say, like when you're a kid, you just hate the guy and you don't get it because you don't understand life yet. And now I look back and I'm like, oh man, he was so fucking good and so like cool under pressure and just like he just destroyed everybody. He's definitely one of the top 3 or 4 college basketball players of all time for sure.
Yeah.
So then
I mean,
what happened to him in the NBA? He just couldn't adjust. What happened?
And he's on Dream Team 1 too. Don't forget that. He's the one college player on Dream Team 1.
Right. And
the greatest team ever.
I think Leitner made an all-star game.
I think he did too. He did. He definitely did.
Just, here's his what doomed to him was he was one of the best college players ever. But then he went into the draft with Shaq and Mourning. And he was on the Dream Team, right? So, like, he's one of the best college players ever. He's on the Dream Team. Then you go, and the top 3 picks in the draft are Shaq, Mourning, and then Leitner.
Right.
So he plays the same position as 2 Hall of Famers that were picked just ahead of him in the draft. And everyone's like, he had all the deck was stacked against him. He would have had to go out and be Bill Walton to live up to that situation.
And everybody who hated Duke, everybody except Duke fans, were rooting against them. And you know what's funny? Did you guys ever see the 30 for 30 about Leitner?
I don't think I've seen it.
I think it's called "I Hate Christian Leitner" or something like that.
Yes.
I saw the previews for it.
And the funny thing is that every single thing that you thought about Leitner, like I always thought he was like a pretty boy prep school country club kid. He's not.
Right.
He's from like a rough, not rough background, but he's like from a working class background in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Like he is not. You just got the wrong impression of him because of his haircut and all this shit.
Right.
And it's like, and dude, he beat UNLV and he beat the fucking Fab Five, dude. It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy.
Funny,
it's crazy.
To look back at those teams, like Weber was more the way Leitner seemed.
Yeah, it's true. Detroit Country Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
We had the complete opposite perspective because of the baggy shorts and the attitude.
Oh yeah, of course.
Seemed like, and also he seemed like the 90210.
There we go. Of course.
Weber.
Yep. Love C. Webb.
So he was a all-star. Christian Leitner was
for the Hawks
in 1997 with the Hawks.
Yeah.
The starters that year were Jordan, Pippen, Penny, Grant Hill, and Dikembe.
Wow.
And him and Weber and Dumars, Tim Hardaway, Terrell Brandon, Vin Baker, and Glenn Rice came off the bench.
Wow.
Pretty awesome. Yeah, so the Last Dance ended. It felt, for me, like it felt increasingly propagandist, like pro Jordan.
Right.
To the extent that it was like a little over the top.
Right.
But it was still awesome.
Right.
Yeah, I can describe it.
I still haven't seen the whole thing yet, so I got episodes to catch up on. So I'm not watching it in real time with the rest of the world. I was saying though, I thought that maybe they misplayed how to roll it out. Like maybe they should have just done 1 episode a week. And then the other thing I was saying, just because there's nothing else going on. Yeah. So they should have milked it a little bit, milked this cow the best way we know how. But then the other thing I was thinking too was like, what if they considered I was thinking that they should have done the first 8 episodes in the 4 consecutive weeks, then given the 2 weeks of hype, take Memorial Day weekend off. You start it 1 week later, you do the 4 weeks with 8 episodes, you take Memorial Day weekend off, you let the hype build, and then the following weekend you do the last 2 episodes, and you stretch the juice out a little bit.
You get a bye week.
Yeah, they should have done that. They didn't. I felt like they didn't maximize. I mean, don't get me wrong, the whole world was buzzing about it, but they could have maximized that juice even more. That was the one thing I was thinking.
I think they're doing like these post-series Stephen A. Smith specials.
Oh God. Oh God. Oh,
I need 4 hours of Skip Bayless
yes.
screaming that LeBron sucks.
Right. That's what I need. That's what we all need. It's good for the culture. It's good for the soul.
Skip
How
it.
about that? So Shaq, not Shaq. Wow. Hold on.
Sco's learning things in real time. He's doing research, investigatory journalism, and research in real time.
I was telling Sco too. Every time I look at these basketball cards, I always flip them to the back and look at the stats, and I'm like, holy shit. Glenn Rice, 4 years at Michigan, he had 2,442 points.
He was didn't he win like most outstanding player? Was it Glenn Rice?
He might have. I mean,
for MVP or something.
Sco, I know you remember Ramil Robinson and Glenn Rice from that team, but you know who's the underrated big man? Do you remember?
On Michigan, it's not the guy who stayed. It's not Pelinka.
No. Oh, dude, I know who you're talking about. There's a guy who stayed, right? There's a holdover guy who was a senior when the Fab Five were freshmen, right?
Pelinka, the GM of the Lakers.
Pelinka's one of them. Yeah.
Fab Five.
Yeah. Yeah, he was on the Fab Five, and he was on that national championship team, right?
Fab Five.
That's the fucking man. I mean, that's Jalen. That's a guy who impacted culture, because he brought the swagger to the Fab Five. He was the guy who made all the fashion decisions and all that shit. And you realize that, like, what an impact he had on culture in general. Like, everything was. The bald head, they did the bald heads like Onyx. They did the baggy shorts like Jordan. They're the fucking guys who did the black socks. They wore the fucking the Air Force fucking Barclays all matching. Like, they did all that stuff.
G Diesel would be on that team if he was, playing back in the day.
Oh man. If only, but I'd be the 5'10" white guy. It wouldn't have worked.
Jalen had his in the NBA still. And Reggie both scored 40 in a playoff game.
Wow. Yeah, no, Jalen was a good pro. And then you got to see how good Jalen was when Webber wasn't on that team.
Yeah.
The season that he had without Webber, he was fucking good, man. He was legit. Like, Jalen was legit. He's a legit NBA player. You threw me off. I was gonna say something about the guy you forgot from that team, Lloyd Vaught.
Oh, Lloyd Vaught.
You remember that name, Lloyd Vaught?
Yeah, and then he went to the Clippers, right?
Yeah. See, like, Sco's researching in real time. What's up with Lloyd Vaught? What happened to Lloyd? What happened to Lloyd Vaught?
Gotta see. Anytime these names pop up,
I know, of course.
He averaged 16 and 10. Over a 4-year period, and then he got hurt, and he never played a lot after that.
Right. He was legit, though. He was a good ball player. Rock solid post player. Rebounder.
A lot of guys like that. Forget. Remember, like, Vashawn Leonard?
Oh, of course. From the Minnesota Gophers. Golden Gophers.
Oh, the other day. I was watching, like, Sean Respert highlights.
Yeah.
About a guy like that and what he would do in the modern NBA right now.
Right.
Like, back then, it's like, oh, you're a 6'2" scoring guard. You can't play in the NBA.
Right. Yeah.
Now, dude, they'd be like, well, fine, you can shoot. You're going out there. You're playing small forward.
Oh, dude. And like, I always look at guys, like, I think back to, you said Vashawn Leonard. I think of, like, Lawrence Moten was such a good ball player. And, like, he had, like, no pro career, no NBA career at least. And then, like, I think of Sura, who was, like, a dominant college player. And, like, he totally – and don't get me wrong, he had a solid NBA career and he played for a while. But, like, he tried to change his entire game to stick in the NBA, and he did successfully. But I used to think to myself, like, why can't he just do what he did at Florida State? Like, and he, just be like a gunner and a slasher and do that stuff. And he became, like, more of a point guard. So there's a lot of guys who were great in college, but they lived in the wrong era for the pros.
Yeah, because if you're those guys now, you're not worried about some guy taking you down on the low block. Even.
Right.
You're a 6'3" shooting guard.
Yeah.
You can play in the NBA now. Back then, you were a
Right.
6'3" shooting guard, dude. Like, you were going to get embarrassed and pulled off the floor.
Right. You have to learn to become a point guard.
Right.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah, times have changed, man. But,
Yep.
yeah.
Very much so. Very much
But
so.
I feel like we're old men talking, and Dirt's like waiting. All right, get the old guys.
That's the thing. Like, it's very generational. How, like, if it's like a couple of years, how, like, you know, everything kind of as far as like the players and all that. But
Yeah.
I
But
always remember what Greg says. Everything is before your time. Because if you think about it, I've been on this world for 33 years. Okay.
the world's been around billions of years.
Then we have this, all this. All right. So I've been
Of
here. So I got to do my research.
Well,
but,
and you know what the other thing too is, the other thing that's even bigger than your age necessarily is when you got into something.
yeah, that too.
Like, one of the reasons that at least in terms of like the stuff I can talk about from a sports perspective, is that I was into it young. So like I might be able to have a conversation with a guy who's 10 years older than me because he was 19 when I was 9, but I was into it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So that's like the weird thing. And it's really about when you got into something. Like, you had an older brother, Dirt. So there's a lot of things
Like, he was really into like Dan Marino, and he has a whole binder full of Cal Ripken and all that shit.
Right.
Like,
So there's a lot of stuff that you and I talk about that you're hip to because of Pudge.
Yeah.
And so like there's a lot of that stuff too. So, you know.
That's how it is.
It is how it is.
Who was your favorite athlete when you were 12?
Gary Payton.
Nice.
Because I grew up playing like the church league basketball, and literally like every day was like practice or a game. Go to Cabrini or go to like St. Bernard's or St. whatever. And it was just boom, 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 boom. That's how I started collecting cards, because my cousin and I, we started playing, and then we started watching, the NBA, and we got into it, and then that's all we knew. So when I saw the Payton, when I saw the glove, I was kind of like trying to, symbol my game after him, because my thing was defense. I couldn't really shoot.
Yeah.
I was a decent guard, like a Stockton, where I would just, facilitate the ball and do all that. But
right.
Something about Peyton, just how he used to always talk shit, and he had like some swagger about him, and his defensive skills were so amazing. They even say in The Last Dance that if Peyton would have been on Jordan a couple more games, maybe they could have won another game or so. Who knows?
Yeah, Jordan laughs it off like it's a ridiculous thing, but
yeah,
like there's a couple gaps in the documentary where it's like, my X happened, and that's why we lost the next 2 games.
Right.
That's like some excuse, and it's like,
right.
well, no, the other team, like, was a factor.
Right, of course.
Jordan didn't have a hangnail or something.
Those Seattle teams were sick.
Yeah.
I love those Seattle teams. Yeah, they were awesome.
With Kate McMillan and Peyton, like, trapping,
And
Archie Hawkins.
I loved Peyton on Oregon State too. Like, there was like a thing too where the basketball games would be on in blocks on ESPN, and there'd be that late night game that was starting at 8:30 in Oregon, but it was on 11:30 on the East Coast. And you get to see all these fucking players that you know what I mean? And I get so excited to see like a Peyton or a guy like that, And he was amazing at on the Sonics, and they were well coached. Like, that's definitely a team that should have probably had a title. Yeah.
Oh man,
definitely should have had a title. No, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of guys like that Jordan has their scalps. A lot of teams that should have won.
But like what you were saying, nowadays you talk to the guy, it's like, hey, what's your football team? Oh, the Patriots. Oh, what's your basketball team? Oh, Golden State Warriors. Oh, what's your football team? Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
And the other thing too for me, and one of the reasons that me and Skull vibe, I think when we were kids, and I know it's weird, and you're the same way, Dirt, and I love it about you, is that but it was especially the case for he and I, is that we grew up in an era where you didn't have as much access to all of the information about the teams from around the country as you do now.
Yeah.
So like it's not. I mean, like let's say Golden State hadn't went on that title run, and let's say they just had Steph Curry and you know, and they were just a good team, but they're out on the West Coast. If this is 35 years ago, there aren't any Golden State fans running around really, except for the weird oddball.
Yeah.
Deep into this shit, and you end up with these weird, you know, fascinations, and you're a fan with these players from, you know, places that aren't in your backyard. So Skull being a Dolphins fan and a Pacers fan and all that stuff, it made me like it, endeared me to them because I like teams that weren't the local teams too. And I used to feel like if you like all the local teams, you're kind of a follower. That's the way I felt. So when I knew when you like the Falcons and the Bulls and all that shit, I was it's fucking cool. Like I don't know, I was always like that. When you like all the hometown teams, I feel like you're just like everybody else.
Jets, Mets, Yankees, Giants.
You know, just I don't know.
No, it's awesome. Well, I think also like there were a couple of things like, we both had moved to our town.
True. That's
so
true.
we had like grew up in our town. We had moved to our town. So
That's
there
true.
was like inherent new kid outsider vibe.
That's true.
And then it seemed weird to be like, yeah, I'm an Eagles fan too. Even though like my whole family were
Of course. Right.
Back then, we had, I don't know if you remember, but one of the things that was awesome is we had 2 NBC channels. South Jersey. It's a weird thing. We get NBC from Philly
and South Jersey.
And there was a South Jersey NBC4, right? So they'd play we'd get like 2 or 3 games at 1 and 4 o'clock every Sunday.
Yep.
And that meant back then for me that I could watch Dan Marino every week. This is before satellite TV or the kind of package. So Marino and Elway would like always be one of those games. Like they'd get them on TV one way or another. So we used to have a TV. Then we'd stack 2 other TVs next to it. We had 2 like mini TVs, and we'd stack them next to it, and we'd watch. We'd have 3 games on 3 televisions.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They were all on at 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock, man. So I got to see Marino like.
It
didn't matter what was going on.
That for real, and that 4 or 4:30 game used to have the Raiders a lot on one of those channels. So it was like, oh shit, like I got to see the Raiders a decent amount because we basically had like football games on Sunday afternoons on like 4 channels, and that's like unheard of.
Red zone before the red zone happened.
Yeah, that's what Dirt just said.
At the red zone.
Dirt just said you had the original red zone. Yeah. It's true. It's very true.
Yeah, pretty awesome times, man. But yeah, no, the Last Dance wrapped up pretty good. I think we're already, I don't know how it's going to work, but man, you know, like an NBA playoff tournament would be pretty dope, you know. However it's done, and I don't know that it can be, but I think that would be dope, you know.
Yeah, I mean, did you see the rules that what they're going to do for baseball?
I've heard, but
it was like a long list. Like there was stuff like the players have to disinfect their hands after every half inning,
right?
And there's no spitting of any sort.
Dude, the players can't even sit in the bleachers, or they have to sit like apart in the bleachers. They were
right.
Yeah, they're gonna have them 6 feet apart, and they said if that means we have to use the stands,
right?
We'll use stands.
Right. No, there's no showering at the stadium.
Right.
There was just like a long list of stuff, and it's like it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. And I mean, yeah, I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they pull it off.
Dude. It's like you really.
Well, but they're gonna have to figure it out though. I just don't know. It feels like it's gonna be a different experience.
From what I saw, I think that the NFL is talking about.
Yeah.
Like one of the reasons the leagues are waiting still is that they want to make sure there's enough tests for regular people. They don't want to take up, 10,000 tests in Utah. If there's 20,000 tests in the state, they don't want to take 10,000 just to make sure the Jazz can play,
Right.
But like they're talking about I think it was football, but but it might have been a different sport. Like they're gonna test everyone, and if you get tested, like you're out.
Right.
Like
Right.
so, but like the problem is that like it'll be last second, and then you have to quarantine for 14 days, and you can't be around the team.
You have to
quarantine guys around you.
But don't they have to quarantine all the guys who came in contact with you too?
Well, that's the thing. Like you don't have symptoms at first, so like the guy can catch it.
Right.
Like you could get your teammates sick. They're not going to know it until they're showing symptoms.
Right.
They're trying to use like these immediate tests in that instance, but you could have like half of a team in a blink. I don't know how it works where you're pulling these guys, sitting them out for 2 weeks. Oh, it's the NBA, I think, is what they were talking about. I'm like, man, you're going to have an NBA playoffs and like Anthony Davis or LeBron are going to get sick and have to sit for 14 days.
I know.
And then you're going to have that team lose and the other team advances. And by the end of the thing, you're going to have 10 asterisks. And is it really
I know
what people want? Like, are people going to be as excited knowing that there's this kind of random force eliminating teams? You know?
I don't know. It's hard to it's hard to imagine all of it. I don't know. You know,
But that said, man, if you told me there's a 16-team NBA playoff starting in like 3 weeks, man.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I'm in. I think it'll be awesome.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know that it can happen, but I'm rooting for it. You know,
of course.
There's gonna be a lot of pulled hamstrings, dude, with all the time off. I'm telling you.
Well, yeah. I mean, I saw like Udonis Haslem talking the other day. He's like, "Let me tell you something. Be ready for some bad basketball." He's like, you know how Jordan lost to the Magic because he sat out 65 games.
Right.
He came back for 17 games and lost in the playoffs. And that was the best player in the world in his prime.
Right, sure.
So what is, you know,
True, sure.
What is the mediocre NBA player right now going to look like rushed back? You know, GCode Nation, we got some things that have been going on. And it's a great time of year.
Yep.
You know, we did the 30 days. We're in the midst of mayhem right now. You know, we sent out an email Sunday just kind of summarizing all the stuff that's been going on. And there's a lot, too. We've had new drops. We got the new shirt, the new hat, new stacks that have been coming.
Yep.
We had the G Diesel stack last week. Nice to do that, right?
Yep.
We've been doing sales. We've been doing the quarantine cuisine, which has been awesome. A lot of delicious banging recipes. They're
Very
putting
much
those
so.
together. Greg, you got a streak going of the quarantine workouts, the half hour of power.
Dude, so it's coming through last Friday. It was 45 consecutive weeknights for the half hour power. So it's 9 straight weeks of 5 days a week workouts.
That's insane.
If you haven't done them, guys, they're sitting there waiting for you.
They're all and they can all be done with nothing more than your body weight.
Yep.
And with 1 pair of dumbbells.
The quarantine diaries too.
Yeah.
We've got the written word. We've got workouts.
Yep.
We've got beer. We've been doing all the stacks, so you can get some new combinations of flavors and supplements between Rise and Vice, especially in honor of a lot of our athletes. Them just talking about like what their favorites are. So there's been a lot. I texted you guys the other day. I'm like, dude, we've been churning heat out.
Yeah, for sure. We've been holding up our end. This hat, by the way, Malone, I'm so enthralled by this hat. I'm so in love with this hat.
Isn't it beautiful, man? Even just
it is a beautiful hat.
The 3D stitching on the front is beautiful.
Man, I'll tell you, when you hold it, it's substantial. And it makes me think of like a New Era hat. Like if you went to Lids and you bought a New Era hat of your favorite college team, like it's as nice as that hat. Like it's that same quality of construction and materials and all that stuff, man. I was blown away by how good it is, man. How nice it came out.
Yeah, it's nice, man. Don't get me wrong. It is a beaut, Clark.
And you know, I'm I'm giving too much away here because people down with GCode know our calendar to some extent. They know something usually comes around this time of year.
Yep.
40 days and 40 nights is not too far away.
It is
And
not.
I've started to think about what that might entail for me.
Right.
So I'm trying to have like a intellectual kind of side to it, like learn something, you know, make myself a little better in that department. I want to do something for America.
Yeah, shotgun a beer every day. Good job. Keep going.
I'll do something to make America, make a little civic contribution of some kind. And then something for the planet. It's another one I want to hit. And of course, the body. So body, mind, community, country. You know, body,
world.
mind.
Wait, body, mind, community, and world.
Right. I want to hit one of each of those. I feel like if I can do that, 40 days, not asking too much.
No, it's
basically
awesome.
The premise, for those you don't know, 40 days and 40 nights. Lock in, discipline, sacrifice, be the best that you can be. We've had people learn languages, get certified in a new skill, try a new career path, you know, try a new way of working out or just do a different regimen, change it up for 40 days. We're in challenging times, but as you can probably sense from just what we've been writing and sending out lately, like challenging times just present you with a new challenge, a new thing to work around and find a new path. You know, we talk about finding a way. We talked last week about, you know, when you have a unique landscape to a house or to a piece of real estate, piece of property, trying to adapt to the contours of that, you know, or like you have a smaller house, maybe you have to store things differently and you come up with an ingenious way of doing things, you know. Same thing. I think we have to do it with 40 days and 40 nights this year. Find new ways. You might not have a gym. Who knows? You know, how do you find new ways, new methods, new angles to attack? So I'm starting to think about that.
Yeah, it's good.
Like a running list of just some realistic goals, you know. I'm excited, man. I've got a circle on the calendar. I know Kaylee does too. We now look forward to this time every year. So
yeah, I got to start thinking about that too, because I think the one phrase that I took away from that whole thing was hold yourself accountable, and just hammering away at that whole mindset to be, you know, just keep hammering away at certain things that you want to, you know, have an end goal for 40 days and 40 nights. And I forgot where mine were like, you know, learning about a new bird every day, doing 140 crunches every day. So I think I'm going to try to take some of your juice, Sco, and do like the mind, body, soul, and worlds thing. So
last year you had to beat Tom Brady's 40-yard dash.
Yes,
he did.
Forgot about that, dude.
And he did it.
I did it in Piscataway High School freaking football field.
That's like a whole nother category. Maybe I got to think of something like that, like the Dirk Malone, like the Rodman challenge. Like, what's the unusual?
Right.
What's like a just random thing? Like, all right, man, I need to be able to try to do like this random thing. You know?
Break into North Korea and try to get a meeting with whoever the new leader is now.
I'll do it, but I might have to kill a guy in the meeting.
There you go.
I have a moral obligation.
He does. He talked about the moral obligation in those situations.
Like you're in a room with someone who's responsible for the death, like arguably of millions of people. And even though you're not a murderer and you value life and all of that, in quotes, I mean, you'd be a murderer. Like, I don't know.
You'd be in the history books, dude. You'd be in the history books. That's
but like, even just like being a good person, right?
Right.
Like you're having lunch with Hitler.
Right. How do you abide his life?
You could be the next John Wilkes Booth, dude.
Yeah, but John Wilkes Booth killed a good man. He's talking about killing a villain. There's a difference.
Yeah, like who's the guy who's killed the worst guy?
Right. That's what it would be.
We don't know. We only know the guys that killed good guys. But who's like, who killed? Do the bad guys just get away with it? Who's killed the bad guy?
Right. Why isn't he famous?
Blade. Maybe Blade.
I'm trying to think, like, you know, Was Archduke Ferdinand a bad guy?
This like SEAL Team
Arch
6,
Duke.
right? They kill SEAL Team 6 killed Bin Laden, right? Do we know
There
any
you
of those guys' names?
He's a bad guy.
Right.
Now I have to look up Archduke Ferdinand.
Franz Ferdinand.
So,
Well, can I tell you? I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
the death of Archduke Ferdinand, he is assassinated, is
Started World
considered
War One.
one of the things that started World War One.
Yep.
So imagine like a dude being killed starting World War One.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of historians would say. So
Of course.
It's your duty, dude. You got to kill one of the bad guys, and then we start a peaceful world.
Maybe it's the opposite.
I don't know, Greg. Do you know?
I don't know. Do I know if Archduke Franz Ferdinand was a good guy or a bad guy?
Yeah, like,
I don't know off the top of my head. No, I don't.
Hey, fun fact. You know how like some people have like the tooth that grows out of the gum right here? It's considered the balcony tooth, so you can call it the John Wilkes tooth because
A John Wilkes tooth. Nice. One of the most fucked up like phrases that you say to somebody who's had like a really bad day, right? Is did you ever hear is like, but otherwise, Mr. Lincoln, otherwise, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play?
Yeah.
Like, oh God, right? It's fucked up.
yeah, things Greg says sucks.
No, things Greg doesn't say. But you know what's funny about 40 Days and 40 Nights in our house?
What?
That there's a good deal of training going on a regular basis, right? So like when I pointed out to Tara, like, oh, you know, 40 Days and 40 Nights starts soon. She's like, when does that start? I'm like, oh, you know, like 2 weeks from now. She's like the look in her face was like, oh God, really? She's like, we're gonna need. When do you get a couple of days off? And I'm like, I know. I know. So I'm thinking the weekend before 40 Days and 40 Nights would begin because I think that would be June 1st, right? Which is a Monday, which is amazing.
I haven't told anyone.
Assuming it did, it could potentially start on Monday, June 1st. If that were the case, then maybe I take off that Saturday also from training, and I don't train for that whole weekend leading up.
But then we will be silently judging you, Greg.
I know, of course.
No.
Oh no! Your judgment from afar will pale in comparison to my own personal judgment of myself.
So you're going to get into 40 days and 40 nights by taking 2 days off training?
I might, yes.
Per usual?
Yeah, yes, I might, because I was saying for the fucking with the half hour of power, right? I do those every night, but then I do my regular training Monday through Saturday and the cardio. So it's 17 workouts a week I'm doing, and it seems excessive. It seems, as Scott would say, I don't know if this is sustainable.
Yeah.
One of my favorite statements of moderation that's incredibly loaded is Sko saying two things. One, I don't know if that's sustainable. And then two, this is problematic.
Yeah, those are the new ones. I like those.
When Sko says problematic, you're like, oh, fuck. Oh, no, it's problematic? Oh, no.
Sko's Ears' new freaking album, Problematic.
You don't want to be named on that list.
No.
That means he did something like Cosby-like or.
Yeah. Oh no.
Awful. But
No.
Greg,
Rap
driving
game Cosby.
a week round trip to like a store and got busted, carry GCode, but I'm like.
Well, it was very early in the game. Very early in the game for us, though.
Where you're setting the bar awfully high.
He's like, there's only 7 days in a week. If you did this for 7 different customers, I don't know if that's sustainable, you know? But it's like, you know, you do what you gotta do, you know? You figure you gotta till the soil, feed the plant that's growing. I don't know, you know?
Well, look, we're gonna till some soil, 40 days and nights coming up, but we got some other heat on deck.
Always on deck. Always heat on deck.
Let's do a little forward-looking Eaton.
Oh.
Okay.
I like
Memorial Day weekend, and I know
Yeah.
that Dirt Malone right now,
Oh
he's
God.
got a cut of meat in
Oh my
mind.
God. There will be no social distancing whatsoever. There will be just there is just caution is thrown to the wind because there are beers to be shotgunned. There will be community beers shotgunned. You'll have a Bud Light, it will fall in the dirt, your friend will pick it up, he'll hand it back to you, you'll take it and you'll pierce it with your John Wilkes tooth.
Dude, right here. Dude, I've been getting ads for like these things called the chuggers that you put in like the side of a beer can and then you can chug them like that.
Right, yes. By you've been getting ads, do you mean that the box just landed on your doorstep yesterday?
Is it there? Tomorrow?
That's all.
Yeah, I think tomorrow.
Yep.
So you want the foreshadowing of what this weekend's going to look like? Here's what's going to happen.
Oh boy.
Many adult beverages with salt on the brim, which I don't like, but it's there for decoration, okay?
Okay.
There's going to be shotgunning of beers. You're going to go up to the grill. You're going to figure out as many fucking things as you could put on there, including corn, veggies, steaks, some sort of seafood, some sort of kebabs, which is Bob's name with a K, and just go from there and just see where the night takes you. I'm thinking South Jersey action. I'm thinking Uncle
Boy. Oh, wow. Uncle Stan's. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Are you going to be on the beach this weekend, Dermot?
Are you going to be one of those people? Are you going to be one of those people on the boardwalk?
I'm going to be one of the guys on the boardwalk on the whole bench like this, waiting for his Zeppelis and his cheesesteak like this.
Dude, I was on a beach this weekend.
Huh?
What'd you say?
I went to a beach this past weekend.
Wow. How was
and
that?
I didn't plan on it.
Okay.
I ended up. We went to Sandy Hook, which I've never been to.
Okay.
It's an awesome place. It's a tiny sliver.
Is Sandy Hook near Monmouth, and is it that really, really nice, like boardwalk, like kind of like a night, like has nice restaurants on it?
Dude, go went to a nude beach, bro.
Yo, check this out. So Sandy Hook is like a strip of land off the elbow of New Jersey, right? So like right where the Jersey Shore would make a sharp west turn.
Right here.
Not off of the butthole. Off of the elbow.
Like Perth, Amboy, Newark, Bay area.
Right.
The point of the right there, the elbow.
Yeah.
It's a strip of land. It was fortified at one point, so there's military barracks, all this historical stuff. There's like 10 miles of beaches with 100 parking lots. It's a national recreation area, so there aren't any restaurants or anything like that.
Okay.
You can't have a business in there.
Okay.
But yeah, Dirt, you're right. We had no idea. We went there for hikes because there's all these trails and stuff, and I'm like, sure, let's go. And we got there, and we're like, oh, it's right like along the beach, all these trails. Let's walk on the beach. Why not? Start walking on the beach. In the distance, greeted by junk. But I think that's junk.
You're just walking through the bushes, and all of a sudden you see this. Oh, sorry.
Like spots of junk.
Wow.
So,
wait, hold on. By junk, are you referring to male genitalia?
Male genitalia.
Oh, I thought you were like you were doing environmental work and you were cleaning up refuse for recycling purposes. Instead, you're talking about the male phallus.
Yeah. Totally clean beach.
Okay. Wow.
Cleaning up junk and looking at junk.
Wow. Well, that's unfortunate.
Junk.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but they have a nude beach section. It's really nice. We had no idea.
See, Dirt Malone knew that because you said Sandy Hook, and he immediately said nude beach because he's been there.
I'm an exhibitionist, man. That's what I do. All right.
He does this.
Each his own.
Hey, Sco, you know what you gotta.
Sco, did you just say to beach his own?
What?
No, that works.
That's
there you go.
That's our new shirt, dude. To beach his own. We're gonna have Sandy Hook. The GCode takeover tour. Sandy Hook to beach his own.
To beach his own. A silhouette of junk, like the fun behind it.
Hey, go. You got to tell us about Bourdain, dude. Now that we're talking about food.
Oh, all right. Well, it's not really food centric. There's a new special on Netflix.
Okay.
And all
Love
these
Bourdain. Love Bourdain.
yeah, all these random people talking about their experiences with LSD.
Okay.
And it's like Sting and Bourdain and Nick Kroll and Rosie Perez, like 1,000 people like that, where you're like, wait, what? But they're all talking about taking shrooms or acid or like whatever. Right. And it's just like animated at times, and they're telling all these crazy stories. But like Bourdain took over 500 hits of acid
wow.
in his life.
Wow.
The guy, like, it's not really surprising. You think of him floating around.
Right.
One of the good ones is Carrie Fisher. Tells some like pretty crazy stories.
Wow.
Like the leading psychiatrist who thinks that it has huge value as a therapeutic drug.
Right.
For depression, for PTSD, for all the stuff is in it. You know, they get into like talking about like Carrie Fisher being so uber famous that the only way that she could feel more like herself at all was to take LSD, because it forced her to only face herself and not like the world's perspective of herself.
Interesting.
She was taking it like all the time. Now she had like tons of drug problems otherwise, but it's a very interesting thing. Like, you know, it's mostly for entertainment, but there's a lot of informational things, and it's just like a random #1 recommended Netflix thing on when we open Netflix. So I'm like, all right, let's check it out. There's cool people involved.
Right.
It's definitely good, funny times, you know. When you have Sting, like, so I dropped the, you know, like telling his crazy stories.
Right.
They're always somewhere ridiculous, and it's inappropriate.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Of course.
I'm sure Greg will drop some acid and watch it or something.
You know, I just go looking forward. I have like no Memorial Day weekend plans. We have like no plans. Don't know what we're gonna do. It's like, you know, like everyone else, like we're itching to have the type of things that would normally be happening on a Memorial Day weekend happening. It'd be great to be at a beach bar and walking around at the beach drinking or whatever. Like,
let's go to Sandy Hook, dude. I'll meet you at the Hook.
Oh yeah, they call you.
Will meet your
bring your hook.
The hook's back.
Dip your hook in the sand.
Sandy Hook action going on.
It's never good when you got
a dip your hook in the sand, my friend. To beach's own.
That's it.
Sandy Hook's not conducive to a good time.
Wow. Wow. It depends on how you define a good time. You know, maybe a good time is walking with your yin out. You know what I mean?
We'll just lay on the beach towel like this with our junks out, just talking about life, you know?
Just making eye contact like men.
That's actually a game, dude.
It looked a lot like being in my gym's locker room, not gonna lie. It's like, oh, you're over 70, you should definitely be naked. Oh, you're in good shape and young, whatever you do, you shouldn't be naked.
Yeah.
In locker room, weird rules that somehow have developed in society.
It's true. It's very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true. I mean, I want to, you know, I guess I'll just grill. I you know, I don't have any real detailed plans at this point, but I do have a hankering for some seafood. So I think I'll definitely figure out a way to make some seafood happen.
Yeah. Get some scrimps.
I want you to know, Dirt Malone, that there is a quarantine cuisine that has been completed and that will be making its way to you.
All right, I'm ready.
And it is not clean, Dirt Malone.
I hope it's not clean.
I heard that you were requesting that it wouldn't be clean. It is the antithesis of clean, my friend.
No, I want, when you get to the nutrition part, that freaking carbs and fat and everything, that shit better be skyrocketing off.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna
the beatus.
Yeah, it's gonna just be like question marks and like
I'll do that. I'll edit it. I'll do it. So just like
Exclamation
Question
points and
marks.
question marks.
Yeah. It'll be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, it's ran out of columns, but yeah, and it's well, the dirtiest thing I've eaten, Dirt Malone, is the thing that is being prepared for your quarantine cuisine.
Ooh,
So
I can't wait.
that's the dirtiest thing. That's the
Wait.
dirtiest thing I've eaten, for sure. The dirtiest thing I've eaten.
That
Well,
makes
next we're doing a Memorial Day special where Dirt Malone and I are doing Century Club live during the cast.
Wow.
all right.
What's the Century Club mean?
A shot of beer for 100 minutes. Every minute.
Wow. Oh, I would love to do that, but it seems like a lot.
Well,
That
then you
seems
can just watch
problematic,
us
dude.
horrible-
It seems problematic. Is that like 8 beers?
That would be probably
Gotta be 10.
8.5 beers.
that'd
8.5
be like 10
beers.
beers, yeah. And
How many ounces are in a shot? 1 ounce?
60 shots is usually 6.5 beers.
Okay.
So
it's like
and
4.
that's 6. Every 10 is
Niner.
1.05. So then it's probably 10.5 beers, something like that.
It's a lot of beers.
11 beers, maybe.
It's a lot of It's a lot of beers.
We could do that.
The Century Club. The Century Club.
The Squadkast is going to
It's,
go.
it's not about the destination, it's about the journey.
It is, right, of course. Because the destination is Sandy Hook.
That's it.
That's it.
The destination is Sandy Hook. It's how you get there. It's how you end up with your junk out.
Let's go. We got 2 minutes on this thing, it says.
All right, well, look, everybody should go. In fact, you know what? I'll extend it right now.
Okay.
Program King Stack,
Okay.
Ooh.
$20 off.
Wow.
Use the promo code STACKME. Stack me.
So you get King, you get what flavor of rice?
Dirt Malone, putting you on the spot.
You get Cinnamon Toast Crush Feast. You
Which
get
one
the
is it?
New Era Tri-Chamber.
Program King Stack.
The program King Stack. Here's what you get. You get Cinnamon Toast Crush Feast. You get Tropical Triumph Rise. You get 30 days worth of King, and you get the New Era Tri-Chamber.
That's a beautiful stack.
That's banging. And you
That's all
get
you need.
$120 if you use the code with free shipping. Stack me.
That's all you need to get by.
That's beautiful.
It is a beautiful fucking thing.
So we'll leave that up for a week for
Okay.
all the insiders of GCode Nation.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Peace, you guys. Take care of yourselves. Peace, GCode. Everybody out there. Hope you're safe.
Yes, eat something dirty and tag us. Hashtag eaten.
Dirtiest thing you've eaten or eaten.
Eaten.
Get it,
Hashtag
Pop?
eaten.
Yeah.
Peace.